So the future for podcast bros is looking pretty bleak because the reviews are in and grandma is finally divorcing grandpa after all these years. That's right, the stats for marriage are not looking good, and there have been several interesting articles coming out recently about this phenomenon called gray divorce, and we love to hear it. So in recent decades, there has been a surprising and significant rise in divorce rates among baby boomers, commonly referred to as gray divorce. This refers to the increasing number of divorces occurring among individuals age 50 and older, many of whom have been married for decades. According to the Pew Research Center, the divorce rate for adults over 50 has doubled since the 1990s, which is a sharp contrast to the declining divorce rates among younger couples. Younger generations tend to get married at much later ages, while older generations tended to get married much earlier, and some in their teens. And I'm sure it's not surprising that the significant percentage of gray divorces are initiated by women. And even though there are many studies that talk about how women are way more likely to file for divorce at all ages, in gray divorce, it's 2/3. I'm curious, in the number of gray divorces that are initiated by men, how many of those involve their spouse getting a terminal illness? But we'll talk about that later. The growing trend of gray divorce reflects shifting social, economic, and personal dynamics within the boomer generation, and I'm here for it. So in this essay of sorts, let's explore the reasons behind the rise of gray divorce among boomers and why so many women are making the choice to eject from marriage at this point in their lives. So one of the key drivers of gray divorce is the increase in life expectancy. With advances in healthcare and a greater emphasis on healthy living, boomers are living longer, healthier lives. As people enter their 50s, 60s, and 70s, they often realize that they may have several decades of life ahead. And for many boomers, this prompts a reevaluation of their life choices, including their marriages. So for many women, rather than remaining in unsatisfying relationships where they're basically being used for the labor in their household, divorce reflects the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. They realize they still have time to explore some personal growth, pursue new interests, or find more fulfilling partnerships. The prospect of spending the next 20 or 30 years in an unhappy marriage becomes increasingly unappealing, motivating some to seek a fresh start. A lot of times when women got married, they didn't really have a choice. And finally, at this point in their lives, they're realizing that they do. So unlike previous generations where divorce in later life was rare and often frowned upon, boomers are more likely to view divorce as a necessary step towards personal happiness. I'm trying to hide my glee a little bit as I'm making this video. It's a beautiful thing for someone to realize after taking a step back for other people, and especially people who don't appreciate them, that what they want matters and that they can finally be an advocate for themselves and the stars of their lives. Boomers have already witnessed and experienced societal shifts that have made divorce more acceptable and more common. So another reason is the changing societal norms around divorce. Baby boomers were the generation that challenged societal norms from civil rights and women's liberation to the sexual revolution. In their youth, they played a significant role in breaking down the stigma surrounding divorce. By the 1970s and 80s, divorce had become more socially acceptable and more common across all age groups, and boomers were at the forefront of this change. So now as they age, they continue to defy traditional expectations by pursuing divorce in later life. For earlier generations, the idea of divorce, especially after decades of marriage, was often viewed as a failure and a social taboo. However, boomers who grew up in an era of increasing individualism are more likely to prioritize their personal happiness and fulfillment over societal expectations. So they reject the notion that staying in a marriage for the sake of appearances or tradition is the only option, leading more boomers to choose divorce when their relationships no longer serve their needs. And this cultural shift has also influenced the way family and friends view divorce among older adults. So gray divorce, once a rare and surprising occurrence, is now becoming a more normalized life choice. So another major thing impacting gray divorce is the financial independence of women. Guys, in America, women couldn't even have our own credit cards until 1987, okay? So when people try to tell me that, women are independent and have been like running things, I love to throw out that stat. Tell them that. In previous generations, women were often financially dependent on their spouses, making it difficult to leave unhappy or unfulfilling marriages. However, boomers saw tremendous progress in gender equality, with more women entering the workforce, pursuing higher education, and building careers. So many women in this generation now have the financial means to support themselves, giving them more freedom to make decisions about their marriages based on personal fulfillment rather than financial security. So for boomer women, especially those who stayed in unsatisfying marriages for the sake of their children or financial stability, great divorce represents an opportunity to regain control over their lives and pursue their own happiness. And a lot of us millennials grew up watching our mothers do everything, bring home the bacon and take care of us, which I would also add is probably why our views on marriage have shifted as well. Another financial factor is that with more equitable divorce settlements and access to retirement funds, pensions, and alimony, many women feel more empowered to leave marriages that no longer meet their needs. This is why politicians going after no-fault divorce is straight up diabolical. Another key factor contributing to the rise of gray marriage is a shift in family dynamics once children grow up and leave the home. Many boomer couples who've spent decades focused on raising children find themselves facing an empty nest in their 50s and 60s. With the children gone, couples often have more time to focus on their relationship, sometimes for the first time in decades. For some, this period brings a renewed connection and deeper intimacy, but for many others, it can highlight underlying issues that have been ignored or put on hold during the child rearing years. So without the distractions of raising kids, couples may find that they've grown apart, no longer share common interests, or no longer feel emotionally connected. The realization that they're essentially living as roommates rather than partners can prompt a decision to divorce. This phenomenon is particularly common among boomers who may have stayed together for the sake of their children, but now feel free to move on and pursue their own paths. Additionally, retirement can also play a significant role in the decision to divorce later in life because once they're done with their work days, they find themselves spending significantly more time together. And some retirees want to travel and live adventurously, while others prefer a quiet, settled life. And these lifestyle changes can create friction and prompt a reassessment of the marriage, which ultimately leads to some couples divorcing. And I don't think that we talk enough about how health or the declining of health impacts marriages later in life. Healthcare workers tell us that the first talk that they have with women when they are given a terminal or a serious illness is that their husbands will most likely divorce them. But when it comes to gray divorce, more and more women are rejecting the role of becoming hospice care wives, which, as we know, is a term that refers to wives who are expected to care for their aging or ill husbands full time in the later stages of life. Now, this is a smaller number, obviously, than men, because I think the stat is like 80% of men will leave their wives when they're diagnosed with a terminal or serious illness. The immense physical, emotional, and financial strain is something that more boomer women are saying no to. And for many women who have worked to achieve financial independence, personal fulfillment, and a sense of autonomy, this prospect of spending their later years as a full-time caregiver can be overwhelming, leading some to seek divorce rather than assume the role, especially in cases where the spouse cheated on them or done them wrong in some way. And this is particularly true for women who have spent decades managing household duties, raising children, and balancing careers. These women deserve a break, y'all. And after retirement, they often envision this phase of life as one where they can focus on their own interests, travel, and simply enjoy newfound freedom. When faced with the expectation of becoming a caregiver or hospice care wife, many feel that they're being robbed of the opportunity to enjoy their later years. So this dynamic has definitely contributed to the increasing rates of gray divorce as women place a greater emphasis on their own well-being and happiness. Thanks again for supporting my channel. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and click the little bell so you can be notified of when I post new videos. I'll be seeing you soon.